Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to just do a quick overview of the ICEJADE archetype. I'm pretty excited about it. I think we talked about a few of these back on a live stream, and then they announced some more coming out. The original original three will actually be in Burst of Destiny, and then I guess the next ones will be either Battle of Chaos or some upcoming set. I'm not entirely sure what they're in yet, but there's 8 cards total, and we're just going to go through them all, sort of talk about them a little bit. I haven't really read the effects other than just kind of glancing at them quickly, so it's going to be somewhat of a legit reaction, somewhat of a maybe rehashing some previous thoughts from the other ones. But this Friday we got the ban list video coming up. Very excited about that. I know that's usually like free content for a Yugi tuber, but I tried to take it in a little bit of a different direction to at least put like both a hypothetical like prediction list as well as a few honorable mentions, things I hope to see happen. I really do hope that at the very least they shake things up and make things more interesting, because I do think the meta as a whole is a bit stale right now. So be on the lookout for that Friday ban list video. I'm sure there's going to be some hot takes that people aren't going to agree with, but that's totally cool. That's generally the way I do it here. So let's jump into the video, not waste any more time. If you guys do enjoy the content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the ICEJADE cards and if you're interested in them. And yeah, let's get into it. So first up, we've got AGEL of the ICEJADE. This is a level 3 water monster. I believe they're all aqua type for what that's worth. So maybe some synergy with Totally Awesome and some other random aqua cards that aren't popping into my head at the moment. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 ICEJADE spell or trap from your deck to your hand. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card, or when an opponent's monster declares an attack on this card, quick effect, you can special summon 1 water monster from your hand or graveyard, except AGEL of the ICEJADE, but return it to the hand during the end phase. Also, the next time this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. You can only use each effect of AGEL of the ICEJADE once per turn. So, the best part of the card, of course, would be its first effect, normal or special, to use search an ICEJADE spell or trap. Now, there aren't too many, but they do have a Rhoda as well as a field spell that we'll get to shortly, and a trap that I believe includes the ability to negate effects, so it's definitely really interesting in terms of being a consistency booster for the deck. The secondary effect is a little bit reliant on the opponent in the sense that it has to either be attacked or targeted, but being able to revive a water monster and also give itself some built-in protection is pretty neat. It's not bad as a bonus effect that could come up in random circumstances, and so as a result, I think it's probably worth at least maxing out, you know, initially, because it looks like it has a lot going for it, and the fact that it triggers off normal or special is pretty cool. So this first one definitely passes the test for me. It looks like we're off to a good start. The next one, COSMOCROIX, the ICEJADE IMPERATRIX, that's a name. This is a level 10 monster, Aqua, 1500 attack, 3000 defense, interesting. If there is a face-up card in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. Actually not bad. Being able to just special summon it in anything realistically does give you a level 10 extender that might work for other things, so that could have some practical use in other decks, I think. You can only special summon COSMOCROIX, the ICEJADE IMPERATRIX, once per turn this way. Monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects on the field while INION, CRADEL, the ICEJADE Depths is on the field. Okay, so if you have the ICEJADE field spell out, monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects on the field. So that should hit a decent amount of things. I don't know. It obviously doesn't do anything against hand traps, and certain monsters whose effect activate, like when they hit grave, aren't going to trigger, but it should stop a decent handful of monsters that would actually activate on field, and so that's not a terrible effect to have built in. With 3000 defense, it's certainly decent enough. If your ICEJADE monster battles an opponent's monster, that monster loses 1000 attack during damage calculation only. So it's pretty hard to get over in the sense that it's got 3k defense. If anything attacks it, it's going to lose 1000, so it's essentially got 4000 defense. Not a bad option, I suppose. I don't know whether or not it's like useful enough to maximize or anything like that, because I do worry about like it's pretty easily just destroyed by targeting it with a card and popping it. But some of the other cards do revive water monsters, so I could see this becoming a constant nuisance, and the opponent wouldn't necessarily be able to pop it with monster effects. So this is pretty good, actually, and it's definitely neat being a level 10 extender that can just be summoned if there's any field spell on the field. Next up, KINGFISHER, the ICEJADE ship. This is a level 9 monster. Yeah, you can target 1 water monster you control, equip this card from your hand or field to that target. An ICEJADE monster equipped with this card can attack while in face-up defense position. Okay, so that would allow your COSMOCROIX to attack in defense. It's actually not terrible. If it does, apply its defense for damage calculation. Right, that sort of makes sense. Bringing back the total defense Shogun and super heavy samurai method of effects there. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls with attack equal to or less than the equipped monster's defense. So you equip this to a monster, then you can target. Special summon this card, and if you do, return that target to the hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So if you equip it to COSMOCROIX, you can target an opponent's monster with 3,000 or less attack, bounce it, and then special summon this card. Definitely neat. I do see it being kind of a cute card for the deck. It's decent enough that other waters could use it, but it's kind of gimmicky when you get beyond what it might do for the deck itself. I do like it. It's decent body, and being able to bounce stuff can certainly be useful. Looks pretty good. Next up, this is one of the ones that was released initially and will be in Burst of Destiny, but we're going to just go over it as though we haven't. You can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one water monster in your graveyard, send this card from the field to the grave, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster. So you have it on the field, you discard a monster, target a water in your grave, tribute this card, then special that monster back. This would work really well with Atlanteans and Mermails. You could obviously trigger Dragoons off this, so it's got some viability, being a level 4 water aqua that can revive any water monster. I definitely think this one would be the best candidate to possibly see play in other water decks. If a face-up water monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, while this card is in your grave, you can banish this card, special summon one ICEJADE monster from your hand or graveyard, except itself. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this is a pretty good water card in general. I think it's actually really strong, being mostly generic, but it does do a lot for ICEJADEs as a whole. I think it's one of the better cards they have. Level 4 means it has synergy to make Bahamut Shark, which is one of the more powerful plays water decks have access to. Overall, this is really good. Like I said, I know we discussed this one before. This will be in Burst of Destiny, and I think it's going to be a card to keep an eye out for. TREMOLAT, or TREMOLAT, I don't know, is it French, of the ICEJADE. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon one water monster from your hand. If a face-up water monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you could banish this card, special summon one ICEJADE monster from your hand or graveyard, except itself. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. So the first run of ICEJADE monsters that we got for Burst of Destiny are all pretty generic for water as a whole, which is actually really good because it makes it more viable in terms of its actual uses. I do like this one too. I think it's nice enough as an extender, although it is an inherent -1, but I think it's going to have some practicality in ICEJADE at the very least, being revivable and actually functioning as a de facto extender. I like it. I don't know whether or not it's going to be, you know, any kind of a 3 of, or if it's just something you'd play at 1, but it's not bad. I can kind of see where things are coming together, but I'm questioning where the real power cards of the deck are, if in terms of just being able to respond to what your opponent does and actually have, you know, resource recovery beyond just specialing something from grave. If it can't do anything when you special it, it's not going to be all that. Next one is ICEJADE CRADEL. This one I definitely remember talking about on the stream. This is just a really good card. It's just a normal spell. Add an ICEJADE monster from your deck to your hand with a different name than the cards you control and in your graveyard. So early on, this is obviously great. It doesn't have a hard once per turn, and because a lot of the ICEJADE monsters banish themselves to activate other effects, you might be able to even search something that you've already used, but you've banished it, so now you don't control it and it's not in your graveyard. This is a really, really good card. It's probably the best single piece of support they have so far, and it's a super good consistency booster that's also searchable by the new ICEJADE mod. INION Cradle, the ICEJADE Depths, is the new field spell. When this card is activated, you can add one of your ICEJADE monsters that is banished or in your graveyard to your hand. Once per turn, if a monster is normal or special summoned, you can target one water monster you control. That target and all face-up monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to the target's original attack until the end of the turn. It's okay. It's good in the sense that it lets you get to level 10 out on the board, and it's good in the sense that it's resource recovery, getting some of your banished cards back, but that secondary effect doesn't seem like it would be all that useful. It might come in handy on certain circumstances, and obviously if you attack with a monster in defense position, you can disregard the attack loss, so I see where it's got use. I'd probably think it was worth playing just for the resource recovery, but it's definitely not on the level of some other field spells that we've seen archetypes get. And the last one is ICEJADE EROSION. This is a continuous trap. This one I did read. You can target one face-up card your opponent controls. Destroy one ICEJADE monster you control, and if you do, negate that target's effects till the end of this turn. If a face-up water monster you control leaves the field by your opponent except by being destroyed, you can take an ICEJADE monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it. You can only use each of these effects once per turn. So this is really good. Obviously, you pop your own ICEJADE monster, which would then trigger an ICEJADE effect in grave. You could banish it to summon something else. You can combo off with this pretty effectively, and negating your opponent's monster effects is not something to take lightly. It's something that is really prevalent in terms of being meta relevant in today's game. I think this is a really solid card. Again, I don't know that it's enough, but the 8 cards we have so far look like they lay the foundation for a solid upcoming deck, if that makes sense. I just think they're going to need a little bit more support, or someone's going to need to find a way to work them into existing water decks and maybe find a way to combine them. But unfortunately, some of the water cards that they have are really powerful and generic, and other ones are not generic, so you can't necessarily just play this in Mermail because you specifically have to destroy an Ice Jade to negate something, so on and so forth. It looks good. The foundation is there. I just think we need a little bit more, and I'm interested to see whether or not they do continue to get support, because it is a really cool archetype conceptually, and I like that it's a bit unique in terms of what it does for water. So yeah, I would say probably like 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 at this point. I don't think it's going to be meta relevant, but it's definitely intriguing on the surface, no pun intended, and I'm pretty excited to see what lies ahead for it. So what do you guys think for Ice Jades as a whole? I know kind of we went over some of them before, but I just wanted to showcase the new ones and kind of put the whole archetype in perspective. Definitely excited about it, and I'd like to even try playing around with it once everything's put on EDO Pro, maybe see what type of things the deck can do now with the existing support. So let me know what you guys think down below. I'll see you Friday for the banlist video. Stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time right here at Loveshack.